Trevor, how difficult is it to keep emphasising the positive and the good things that are happening in the performances when results aren't quite going your way and putting sort of the cherry on top, if you like?
Oh, look, it has been sort of like tough 8 weeks because you do see a lot of good things. We do put ourselves in some good positions to win games. So it's disappointing that in the last sort of quarter of a game or the last 10 minutes of a game that we sort of sometimes just throw the game away in terms of all the good work that we've done. So look, the players are incredibly positive. They spoke well after the Northampton game on Friday night. You just got to stay tight. We just maybe have to look at improving things, not just necessarily one area, but in a lot of areas to make them just all 1% better, whether that's set piece, whether that's defence, attack, etc. And then once we do all those things and we get the game management right in the final quarter, then hopefully you turn those results your way.
It did seem from a commentators at the game a different type of disappointment from Gloucester on Friday night. Is that something that you can work with and build on?
I think it's disappointing because we know that was an opportunity that we let slip. As a Northampton side that probably was low on confidence themselves. We were level on points in the Premiership table. They hadn't won at home in the Premiership this year, or they've only won once at home. So just looking at it, and as the game was developing, you could see that their energy levels dropping, and we came back in and we got ourselves in front, and I think there was just that disappointment there that we didn't finish off and get the win, and we let it slip. And every Premiership game is precious, and we've got to get better at finishing those games off.
Switch to the Anglo-Welsh this weekend. How much of a difference does that make? Obviously, there'll be opportunities for a few people coming in with the international boys away at least.
Yeah, there'll obviously be a few changes. You've got the international block happening, so you've got to make sure you get some rest for the Premiership guys that have played the last 6 to 8 games through that period. So, good opportunity for a few fringe players. Get some players back that have been dual registered with other clubs and get them back in a Gloucester shirt, and it's a great opportunity for them really, and it's a great start against Saracens. You never know what sort of side that they'll bring, whether they're resting players, but we're just trying to keep it as simple as possible this week with so many people coming back in, and hopefully they can put in a good performance to show that they deserve to be in the academy squad and pushing for first team places, and also those that are in the first team squad really pushing those guys that have had the jersey in the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, is it the sort of game where someone can actually make a name for themselves, take an opportunity, and sort of make themselves impossible to drop?
Well, look, you want players to take their opportunity through the system that we applied ourselves to this year. What we don't want to do is them come back and play style of rugby that they've been used to with their loan clubs. It's about coming back in and understanding what we want from them to go forward this Saturday, and if they apply themselves in that system and play well, then they're giving themselves every opportunity then to progress.
I suppose Saracens very used to sort of doing this sort of thing, making the changes because they have so many internationals. And does that Wolfpack mentality that they've got sort of pervade the whole club for you?
Well, look, I'm not really too worried about about Saracens this week. It's about bringing our group together and making sure that we do our game plan how we want it to be done. And we had a great victory against them in the A-League beginning of the season, so we know how to beat Saracens at Kingsholm for these group of players anyway. So look, it's about making sure that we do our things well rather than worrying about them so much and whatever aura they have around them in terms of their Wolfpack.
And if you do the things that, if Gloucester do the things that you want them to do, then they'll more than match Saracens, won't they?
Well, that's it. Look, we've got to apply ourselves to our game plan. It's all underpinned by a strong set piece. We've got to make sure that we have an incredibly strong set piece this week. We've got to make sure that our game management is correct, and we've got to make sure that we're playing in the right areas of the field. And if we can do all those things and keep us strong and be disciplined, then there should be no reason why we can't replicate that win that we had against them in the A-League.
How big a job is it to get that parity and dominance up front in the scrum, when so often we've seen it in the Premiership, changes are made and sort of then the scrum finds it harder to keep going forwards.
Well, look, that's a challenge of us to make sure that we have depth in our squad. Doesn't matter who you change, that the result out on the field shouldn't be affected. So look, some of it's you question sometimes refs' decisions. Sometimes you don't get it right yourself, but it's making sure that you are. We set aside for a target of 90 to 100% success in our scrum, and if you do that, then you're putting yourself up in the top of the tier in terms of in the Premiership and successful scrum. So there's a big challenge there, and look, that's what we're trying to build here, is a stronger set piece platform, because that's what the Premiership and European rugby is all about.
Injuries? Anyone fresh out this week? Anyone new back in?
Well, look, there'll definitely be some changes. Look, there's still a few guys that are injured, that are working hard to get back out on the field, and obviously there'll be some guys that are taking this opportunity to get some rest and recuperation and get themselves ready for the Premiership campaign come Wasps in a couple of weeks.